I was 24 years old when I discovered that my entire life had been built on lies. It happened on a Sunday morning, at my birthday brunch, in front of everyone I loved. My grandpa smiled at me across the table, his eyes warm and proud, and said the words that would shatter my world into a million pieces. "I'm so glad you're enjoying the apartment I bought you, Emma." I froze. My fork stopped halfway to my mouth. The scrambled eggs suddenly looked like they belonged to someone else's breakfast, someone else's life. Because I had no idea what he was talking about. I whispered back, my voice barely audible over the clinking of silverware and the soft jazz playing in the background, "Grandpa, I live in a basement." My dad dropped his fork. The metallic clang echoed through the suddenly silent restaurant. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. My sister stopped mid-sip of her mimosa, the glass suspended in the air like time itself had paused. And in that moment, I watched my grandfather's face transform from joy to confusion to something that looked like horror. "What do you mean, a basement?" he asked slowly, each word careful and deliberate. "If you're enjoying this so far, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I promise you, this story gets even more unbelievable. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below." I could feel everyone's eyes on me. The restaurant suddenly felt too hot, too crowded, too small. My hands started shaking. "I mean exactly that, Grandpa. I live in Mrs. Henderson's basement. I've been living there for 2 years. Since I moved out of the dorms." My dad's face had gone completely white. Not pale. White. Like every drop of blood had drained straight out of his body and pooled somewhere beneath the table. "Emma," he said, and his voice sounded strange, foreign, like it belonged to someone I'd never met before. "What are you talking about? You live in the apartment on Riverside Drive. The one bedroom with the balcony overlooking the park." I stared at him. Then I stared at my grandpa. Then back at my dad. "No," I said slowly, feeling like I was explaining something to a child. "No, I don't. I've never lived on Riverside Drive. I don't know what apartment you're talking about." My grandpa reached into his jacket pocket with trembling hands and pulled out his phone. He scrolled through something, then turned the screen toward me. It was a banking app, showing a transaction history. Monthly payments. $1,800. Every single month for the past 2 years. The memo line read, "Emma's apartment, Riverside Drive. I've been sending your father money every month," Grandpa said, his voice cracking. $1,800. To help with your rent. So you could focus on your studies and your job without worrying about housing." The restaurant spun. I gripped the edge of the table. "I never saw that money," I whispered. "Grandpa, I pay $400 a month to live in a basement with no windows. I have to duck my head to avoid the pipes. There's mold on the ceiling that Mrs. Henderson won't fix. I've been eating ramen and eggs for 2 years because I can barely afford groceries after rent and student loans." My sister made a sound. A small, broken sound like something inside her had cracked. Mom was staring at Dad. Just staring. Her face was completely blank, but her eyes were filling with something that looked like dawning horror. "Richard," she said quietly. "Richard, what is she talking about?" My dad who had always been my hero, who had taught me to ride a bike and helped me with my homework and told me I could be anything I wanted to be. My dad couldn't look at me. "I can explain," he said. But his voice was the voice of a stranger. A guilty stranger. A caught stranger. "You've been taking Grandpa's money?" I asked. My voice sounded so small. So hurt. "For 2 years, you've been taking money that was meant for me?" "It's not like that," he said quickly, desperately. "Emma, please, it's complicated. There were expenses. Things you don't understand. Adult things. Business investments that didn't pan out. I was going to pay it back. I was going to fix everything. Fix what? Grandpa's voice cut through the air like a blade. I had never heard him sound like that. Cold. Hard. Furious. Fix stealing from your own daughter? Fix lying to me for 2 years? Dad, please, how much? Mom interrupted. Her voice was shaking. How much did you take from her? I pulled out my phone with numb fingers and opened the calculator app. $1,800. Times 24 months. $43,200, I said. The number hung in the air between us like a bomb. My sister started crying. Actual tears streaming down her face. Emma, she whispered. Emma, I'm so sorry. I thought you knew. I thought you were just being private about your apartment. You never invited me over and I just thought. You knew about the apartment? I asked her. She shook her head frantically. No. No, I knew Dad was getting money from Grandpa for your housing. He mentioned it once. I assumed you were actually living somewhere nice and just didn't want visitors because you were busy or whatever. I couldn't breathe. The restaurant walls were closing in. Everyone was staring at our table now, the other diners trying not to be obvious about their curiosity but failing miserably. I need to leave, I said, pushing my chair back. It made a horrible scraping sound against the hardwood floor. Emma, wait, Dad reached for my arm. I jerked away from him like his touch burned. Don't touch me. Please, let me explain. There's so much you don't know. There were reasons? I was yelling now. I never yelled. People were definitely staring. I didn't care. What possible reason could there be for stealing from your own daughter? For letting me live in poverty while you told everyone I was fine? While you cashed checks meant for me? Your father had some financial difficulties, Mom said quietly. She looked like she might be sick. Some investments went bad last year. We had some debt. But Emma, I swear to you, I didn't know about this. I didn't know the money was supposed to go directly to you. Last year? Grandpa said. This has been going on for 2 years. Dad's face crumbled. The first year was legitimate. I was putting it toward her housing costs. The basement apartment. I was going to find her something better, but then things got complicated. Complicated how? I demanded. He wouldn't answer. He just sat there, looking at his plate, his hands clenched into fists on the table. And that's when my mom gasped. Actually gasped. Her hand flew to her mouth again and her eyes went wide with some terrible realization. Richard, she breathed. Tell me you didn't. Didn't what? I asked. But I was watching Dad's face. And I saw it. The flash of panic. Of being caught in something even worse than what we already knew. Tell me you didn't use our daughter's money for her, Mom hissed. For who? My sister asked. The silence that followed was deafening. And then my dad said, in a voice so quiet I almost couldn't hear it, it's not what you think. But Mom was already standing up. Her chair fell backward with a crash. How could you, she whispered. How could you do this to us? To her? Someone please tell me what's going on. I was crying now. Hot, angry tears streaming down my face. Who is her? My grandpa stood up too. He put his hand on my shoulder, steady and warm and real. The only solid thing in a world that had suddenly turned to quicksand. We're leaving, he said firmly. Emma, get your things. You're coming home with me. We're going to figure this out. Dad, please, my father tried one more time. You don't get to call me that right now, Grandpa said coldly. You don't get to ask me for anything. You stole from your own child. You lied to my face for 2 years. I don't even know who you are anymore. I grabbed my purse with shaking hands. My phone. My jacket. Everything felt surreal, like I was moving through water. As we walked out of the restaurant, I heard my mother's voice, choked with tears, "I want you out of the house by tonight." And my father's response, "Please, let me explain about Melissa." Melissa. That name would haunt me for months. I didn't look back. I couldn't. If I looked back, I might shatter completely, and I needed to hold myself together for just a little bit longer. Just until we got to Grandpa's car. Just until we drove away from this nightmare. But as we pushed through the restaurant doors into the bright Sunday sunshine, I realized something with horrible, crystal clarity: this was just the beginning. The worst was still to come. Grandpa drove in silence for the first 10 minutes. I stared out the window, watching the city blur past. Familiar streets. Familiar buildings. Everything looked the same as it had this morning when I'd been excited about my birthday brunch, when I'd been normal Emma with normal problems like student loans and a crappy job and weird coworkers. That Emma felt like a stranger now. "Who's Melissa?" I finally asked. My voice sounded hollow. Grandpa's hands tightened on the steering wheel. His knuckles went white. "I don't know for certain," he said carefully. "But I have suspicions. And if I'm right..." He trailed off, his jaw clenching. "We need to find out the truth before I say anything. I won't speak in speculation about something this serious. Grandpa, please. I just watched my entire family explode. I deserve to know what's happening." He pulled the car over. Just stopped right there on a side street, put it in park, and turned to look at me. His eyes were red-rimmed. I'd never seen my grandpa cry before. Not when Grandma died. Not ever. "Your father," he said slowly, choosing each word with care, "may have been having an affair." The words hit me like a physical blow. I actually felt the impact in my chest. "What?" "About 6 months ago, I saw him. At a restaurant downtown. With a woman. A young woman, maybe early 30s. They were..." He paused, struggling. "They were holding hands. Laughing. He kissed her on the forehead when they got up to leave." "Why didn't you tell anyone?" I whispered. "Because I wasn't sure what I saw. The restaurant was crowded. It was dark. I thought maybe I was mistaken. He's my son, Emma. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to destroy his marriage based on one glimpse across a crowded room." His voice broke. "But if he's been spending your money on another woman..." "God, Emma, I should have said something. I should have investigated. I should have protected you." "This isn't your fault," I said automatically. But inside, I was screaming. Everything was clicking into place now. The weird phone calls Dad would take in another room. The nights he came home late smelling like perfume that wasn't Mom's scent. The way he'd been so distracted lately, so distant. I'd thought he was stressed about work. I'd thought he was going through some kind of midlife crisis. I hadn't thought he was stealing from me to support his mistress. "I'm going to be sick," I said. Grandpa handed me a bottle of water from the cup holder. I gulped it down, trying to force the nausea back. "We need proof," I said once I could speak again. "We need to know exactly what he did with that money. Where it went. Who this Melissa person is. Are you sure you want to know?" Grandpa asked gently. "Sometimes ignorance is easier to live with than truth." I laughed. It came out bitter and broken. "I've been living in ignorance for 2 years, Grandpa. Look where that got me." "No. I want to know everything. Every lie. Every betrayal. All of it." He studied my face for a long moment, then nodded. "Okay. Then we start investigating. But we do this smart. We document everything. We build a case. Because, Emma, if this is what I think it is, your father hasn't just wronged you. He's committed a crime. What do you mean? That money was a gift. Designated for a specific purpose. If he took it under false pretenses and used it for personal gain, that's fraud. Potentially theft. And depending on how he's been reporting it on taxes, there could be other charges too. I hadn't thought of that. I hadn't thought beyond the immediate horror of the betrayal. But Grandpa was right. This wasn't just a family drama. This was potentially criminal. I don't want him to go to jail, I said quickly. He's my dad. I'm angry, I'm furious, but I don't. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, Grandpa interrupted. First, we find out the truth. All of it. Then we decide what to do with that information. Fair? I nodded. He pulled back onto the road and we drove to his house in silence. The house where I'd spent countless childhood summers. Where Grandma had taught me to bake cookies and Grandpa had taught me to play chess. Where everything had always felt safe and warm and right. We pulled into the driveway and I saw my sister's car parked on the street. She beat us here, Grandpa said. Sure enough, Jessica was sitting on the front porch steps, mascara running down her face, her phone clutched in her hand. She stood up when she saw us. Emma, she called out. Emma, I'm so sorry. I should have known something was wrong. I should have visited you. I should have. I hugged her. She fell apart in my arms, sobbing against my shoulder. This isn't your fault, I told her. None of this is your fault. But I could have helped. If I'd just paid attention. Stop. Jess, stop. You didn't know. Neither of us knew. We went inside together, the three of us. Grandpa made coffee. Strong, black coffee that tasted like comfort and normalcy. We sat at his kitchen table, the same table where I'd eaten thousands of meals, and we tried to make sense of the senseless. Mom's leaving him, Jessica said. She called me on the drive over. She's packing his things right now. She wants him gone by tonight. Good, Grandpa said firmly. He doesn't deserve her. She's devastated, Jessica continued. She keeps saying she should have known. That there were signs. But, Emma. She looked at me with haunted eyes. She really didn't know about the money. I believe her. She thought you were living on Riverside Drive too. He lied to everyone, I said. That's what's so sick about it. He constructed this elaborate fiction where I was fine, where everything was fine, while he was stealing from his own family. My phone buzzed. A text from my dad, please let me explain. There's so much you don't understand. I love you. I never meant for any of this to happen. I showed it to Grandpa and Jessica. Block him, Jessica said immediately. Don't engage. Not yet. But Grandpa looked thoughtful. Actually, save everything. Every text. Every call. Every voicemail. It's all evidence. Evidence for what? I asked. For whatever comes next. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Dad, Melissa isn't what you think. Please, Emma. Let me tell you the truth. I felt sick again. He's really admitting there's a Melissa. Of course there is, Jessica said bitterly. Why else would Mom kick him out? She confronted him after we left the restaurant. He admitted everything. Everything like what? I pressed. Jessica took a shaky breath. He's been seeing her for 18 months. Since right after you moved into the basement. Her name is Melissa Torrance. She's 32. She's a personal trainer at his gym. Of course she was. The cliché of it would have been funny if it wasn't so devastating. And he's been using my money for what? To take her on dates? To buy her gifts? Worse, Jessica whispered. He rented her an apartment. The room spun. What? An apartment. Downtown. 1 bedroom. Nice building. He's been paying her rent for over a year. I did the math in my head. $1,800 a month. That was probably close to what a nice downtown apartment would cost. My money. My apartment money from Grandpa. He'd been using it to set up his mistress in a place nicer than anywhere I'd ever lived. I'm going to throw up, I said, standing up abruptly. I made it to Grandpa's bathroom just in time. I was sick until there was nothing left in my stomach, until I was just dry heaving over the toilet, my body trying to purge something that couldn't be vomited away. Jessica appeared with a cold washcloth. She pressed it to my forehead while I sat on the bathroom floor, shaking. I hate him, I whispered. Is that terrible? He's my dad and I hate him. It's not terrible, she said. It's human. He hurt you. He betrayed you. You're allowed to hate him. I keep thinking about all the times I called him for money. For groceries. For gas. And he'd always say he was tight on funds, that he'd help when he could but things were rough. And the whole time. I couldn't finish the sentence. I know, Jessica said. I know. We stayed there on the bathroom floor for a long time. Sisters. The way we'd been since she was born. When life got scary, we'd always had each other. At least that hadn't been a lie. Eventually, we went back to the kitchen. Grandpa had his laptop open. I've been doing some research, he said grimly. Melissa Torrance. 32 years old. Personal trainer. Works at Evolve Fitness downtown. Has an Instagram account that's public. He turned the laptop toward us. There she was. Beautiful, of course. Long dark hair. Perfect body. Bright smile. Her Instagram was full of workout videos, inspirational quotes, and photos of her meals. And there, buried in the photos from 6 months ago, was a picture of a bouquet of roses with the caption, "Some surprises are worth the wait." That's Dad's handwriting on the card, Jessica said, leaning closer to the screen. I'd recognize it anywhere. We scrolled further. More hints. More clues. Nothing explicit, but the pattern was clear once you knew what you were looking for. A photo of champagne glasses clinking, celebrating new beginnings. A picture of keys, new chapter, new home, new adventures. A sunset from a balcony, grateful for the view and the company. Each one was a knife in my heart. Because while she was posting about her new apartment and her new adventures, I was scrubbing mold off my basement ceiling and choosing between paying for internet or buying actual vegetables. We need to confront her, I said. Emma, I don't think that's a good idea, Grandpa warned. I don't care. I need to look her in the eye. I need her to know what she took from me. She might not know, Jessica said quietly. For all we know, Dad never told her he was stealing from you. She might think he's just a guy with money who wanted to help her out. Then she deserves to know the truth too, I said. She deserves to know what kind of man she's been sleeping with. Grandpa and Jessica exchanged a look. If you're going to do this, Grandpa said carefully, we do it together. And we do it in public. Somewhere safe. Somewhere with witnesses. Fine, I agreed. Tomorrow. I'll go to her gym tomorrow. We'll all go, Jessica corrected. You're not doing this alone. I looked at my little sister. She was 21. Still in college. She should be worrying about exams and parties and dating, not helping me confront our father's mistress. I'm sorry you're in the middle of this, I told her. Are you kidding? I'm in this with you. Ride or die, remember. That's what we said when we were kids. Ride or die, I echoed. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Mom calling. I answered on speaker. "Emma," she said, and her voice was so broken I almost started crying again. "Baby, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. I swear to you, I didn't know." "I believe you, Mom. I've packed his things. I changed the locks. I've called a lawyer. I'm filing for divorce tomorrow morning." "Mom, don't. Don't try to talk me out of this. He doesn't get to do this to us. To you. To our family. He made his choice and now he has to live with it." "Okay," I said. Because what else could I say? "Are you safe? Are you at your grandfather's?" "Yes." "Good. Stay there tonight. Both of you girls. I need." Her voice cracked. "I need some time alone. To process. To figure out what happens next." "What about you?" Jessica asked. "Are you okay?" Mom laughed, but it was the saddest sound I'd ever heard. "No, baby. I'm really not. But I will be. We all will be. We're stronger than this. Stronger than him." After we hung up, Grandpa made dinner. Simple pasta with sauce from a jar, but it was warm and filling and we ate it together at the kitchen table, not really talking, just being present with each other. Around 9 p.m., my phone rang. An unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. "Hello? Is this Emma Collins?" A woman's voice. Young. Uncertain. "Yes." "Who's this?" "My name is Melissa Torrance. I think we need to talk." My hand started shaking. I put the phone on speaker so Grandpa and Jessica could hear. "I don't have anything to say to you," I said coldly. Please, just listen. I didn't know. I swear to God, I didn't know." "Didn't know what?" "That you were sleeping with a married man?" "I knew about that," she admitted. "And I'm not proud of it. But Emma, I didn't know about you. About the money. About any of it. Your dad just told me tonight. After your mom called him screaming. He's here now, at my apartment, and he's telling me everything and She was crying. "I feel sick. I had no idea he was stealing from his own daughter." "Why are you calling me?" I asked. "Because you deserve to know the truth. All of it. Not just his version. The real truth." "I'm listening." She took a shaky breath. "He told me he was separated. That he and your mom were getting divorced but still living together for financial reasons until they could sell the house. He said he had 2 daughters who were adults and living independently. He showed me pictures of you guys from Facebook. He seemed like a good dad. Proud of his kids. He never once mentioned that he was supporting you financially. So you're saying you're a victim here too?" I couldn't keep the anger out of my voice. "No. God, no. I'm not trying to make excuses. I made choices. Bad choices. I should have questioned his story more. I should have pushed to meet his family. I should have, but I didn't. I believed him because I wanted to. Because he was charming and attentive and he made me feel special." "How long have you been together?" 18 months. We met at the gym. He hired me as his trainer. It started professionally but then it turned into more. He started spending more time with me. Taking me to nice restaurants. He said he wanted to help me out, that I was working so hard. When he offered to pay for an apartment for me, I thought it was just him being generous. Generous with my money, I spat. I know. I know that now. And Emma, I'm so sorry. If I could undo it all, I would. If I'd known, but you didn't know. And that's the problem. You didn't ask questions. You didn't want to know. You just took what he offered and didn't think about where it was coming from or who it was hurting. Silence on the other end. You're right, she finally said. You're absolutely right. And I don't deserve your forgiveness. But I wanted you to know that I'm ending it. Tonight. Right now. He's packing his things and he's leaving. I don't want anything from him. Not the apartment, not the relationship, nothing. It's over. Good. And Emma? The rent money. All of it. I'm going to pay it back. I don't know how long it will take, but I promise you, I will pay back every penny. I wanted to believe her. But I was so tired of believing people. I need to go, I said. Wait. One more thing. There's something else. Something your dad didn't want me to tell you. But you deserve to know. My stomach dropped. What? The money from your grandfather. That wasn't the only money he took. What do you mean? There was a college fund. From your grandmother. She left it for you when she passed away. $25,000. Your dad was supposed to give it to you when you graduated. He told me about it once, said he was managing it for you. But, Emma. I saw his bank statements. That money's gone. He spent it. The room tilted. Grandpa grabbed my arm to steady me. My college fund? From Grandma? I'm so sorry, Melissa whispered. I'm so sorry. I hung up on her. Just ended the call because I couldn't listen to another word. That son of a bitch, Grandpa said. His voice was shaking with rage. That's it. We're pressing charges. All of them. Every charge we can make stick. Grandpa, no. Emma, no. This has gone too far. He stole your grandmother's gift to you. Money she saved her entire life to make sure you were taken care of. Money she made me promise would go to you. And he just took it. Like it was his. Like you didn't matter. I was crying again. Big, ugly sobs that shook my whole body. Why does he hate me? I asked. What did I do? Why would he do this to me? This isn't about you, Jessica said fiercely. This is about him. His selfishness. His lies. His complete failure as a father. You did nothing wrong. Nothing. But it felt like I had. It felt like I must have done something terrible to deserve this. To deserve being betrayed so completely by the person who was supposed to protect me. We stayed up until 3 in the morning. Making lists. Building timelines. Documenting every text message, every phone call, every piece of evidence we could find. By the time I finally fell asleep in Grandpa's guest room, we had a plan. And in the morning, everything would change again. I woke up to my phone ringing. 7:30 a.m. My head was pounding from crying and lack of sleep. It was my mom. Emma, you need to come home. Now. What's wrong? Your father is here. He's standing on the lawn refusing to leave until he talks to you. The neighbors are staring. I've called the police but they said since it's his house too, technically, they can't make him leave until the locks are changed legally and I'll be right there. I threw on yesterday's clothes. Grandpa was already in the kitchen, making coffee. We need to go to Mom's, I told him. Dad's causing a scene. I'm coming with you. Me too, Jessica said, emerging from the other guest room. We drove through the early morning streets. The city was just waking up. Coffee shops opening. People walking dogs. Normal life continuing on while mine was falling apart. We pulled up to my childhood home and there he was. My dad. Standing in the middle of the front lawn in the same clothes from yesterday's brunch. He looked terrible. unshaven, red-eyed, desperate. When he saw my grandfather's car, he ran toward us. Emma. Emma, please, you have to listen to me. I got out of the car slowly. Grandpa and Jessica flanked me on either side. You need to leave, I said. My voice was cold. Steady. Mom told you to leave. I can't. Not until you understand. Not until I explain everything. Explain what? How you stole from me. How you spent my money on your mistress. How you took Grandma's gift and used it for yourself. He flinched like I'd slapped him. Melissa told you about that. She told me a lot of things. She doesn't know the whole story. Nobody does. Emma, I was drowning. I made some bad investments 3 years ago. Really bad ones. I lost almost everything. The house was about to be foreclosed on. We were going to lose everything. I couldn't tell your mother. I couldn't admit that I'd failed. So you stole from me instead. I borrowed from you. I was going to pay it back. Every penny. I had a plan. There was this investment opportunity, this sure thing, and I just needed capital. I thought if I could just make this one deal work, I could fix everything. Pay you back. Pay off the debts. Save the house. Save the family. And the mistress? Jessica asked. Where does she fit into this financial crisis? He had the decency to look ashamed. That was separate. That was. I was stressed. I was scared. I was drowning in lies and debt, and Melissa was, she was an escape. Someone who didn't know about my failures. Someone who looked at me like I was successful and strong and together. So you bought her affection with my money, I said flatly. No. Yes. I don't know. It all got so tangled up. The money from your grandfather, it was supposed to just be temporary. Just until the investment paid off. But the investment fell through. And then I was in deeper. And I couldn't admit it. I couldn't face what I'd done. So I just kept going. Kept lying. Kept digging myself deeper. Mom appeared at the front door. She looked like she hadn't slept at all. Get off my lawn, Richard, she called out. You don't live here anymore. Sarah, please, don't. Don't you dare use that tone with me. You lost the right to my sympathy when you stole from our daughter. When you cheated on me. When you destroyed everything we built together. I didn't destroy it. I made mistakes. Bad mistakes. But I can fix this. I can make this right. How? I asked. How are you going to make this right? Are you going to give me back $43,000? Are you going to give me back Grandma's $25,000? Are you going to give me back the 2 years I spent living in poverty while you convinced me that was all I deserved? I never said that was all you deserved. You didn't have to say it. You showed me. Every time I called asking for help and you said you couldn't afford it. Every time you came to visit me in that basement and didn't offer to help me find something better. Every time you looked me in the eye and lied about where my money was going. A neighbor came out onto their porch. Then another. The whole street was waking up to our family drama. You need to leave, Grandpa said firmly. This isn't the time or place for this conversation. When will be the time? Dad demanded. When will any of you let me explain properly? Let me make amends? You can't make amends for this, Jessica said. You can't unsteal the money. You can't unlie to us. You can't uncheat on Mom. What's done is done. So that's it? I'm just cut off. Cast out? After everything I've done for this family? Everything you've done? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Dad, you stole from me. You betrayed all of us. You don't get to play the victim here. I'm not playing the victim. I'm trying to explain that I'm human. I made mistakes. But I'm still your father. I still love you. Doesn't that count for anything? I looked at him. Really looked at him. At this man who had taught me to swim and read bedtime stories and walked me to school on my first day. At this stranger who had stolen from me and lied to me and used me. I don't know, I said honestly. I don't know if love is enough to forgive this. I don't know if I can ever trust you again. I don't know if I even want to try. His face crumpled. Emma, I need you to leave now. If you want to talk, we can do it later. With lawyers present. Everything documented and legal. But right now, I need you gone. Please, now. I screamed. Get out of here. Leave us alone. He stared at me for a long moment. Then, slowly, he turned and walked to his car. The same car he'd been driving since I was in high school. The car that had driven me to dance recitals and friends' houses and my first day of college. It felt like watching a stranger drive away. Mom came down from the porch and hugged me. Just held me while I cried. Jessica joined us. Then Grandpa. All of us standing there on the front lawn while the neighbors watched and whispered. We need to document this, Grandpa said quietly. The police. The lawyers. Everything has to be official now. I know, Mom said. I have a meeting with a divorce attorney at 10. Do you want to come with me, Emma? To talk about the financial fraud? I nodded. I was so tired. So exhausted. But this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. We spent the rest of the morning at the lawyer's office. A woman named Patricia Grant who specialized in divorce and financial fraud. She listened to our story with a neutral expression, taking notes. You have a strong case, she said when we finished. Both for the divorce and for criminal charges against your ex-husband, Mrs. Collins. The theft, the fraud, the misuse of designated funds, it's all prosecutable. I don't want to destroy him, Mom said. As angry as I am, he's still the father of my children. I just want what's fair. What's right. What about you, Emma? Patricia asked. Do you want to press charges? Did I? Yesterday, in the heat of my anger, I would have said yes immediately. But now, in the cold light of morning, with the reality of what that would mean. I want my money back, I said. All of it. And I want him to acknowledge what he did. To take responsibility. But jail time. I shook my head. I don't think that helps anyone. Fair enough. We can pursue civil remedies. Sue for repayment of the stolen funds. It will take time, but we can get you that money back. How much time? Months. Maybe a year. Depends on his finances. If he doesn't have the money to pay back immediately, we'll need to garnish wages, seize assets. It's a process. A year. A year of legal battles and court dates and constantly reliving this nightmare. What if he just agrees to pay it back? I asked. Could we settle outside of court? We could try. But given his history of lying, I'd want everything in writing. Legal contracts. Payment schedules. Consequences for defaulting. And honestly, Emma, I wouldn't count on him having the money. If his story about bad investments is true, he might be bankrupt. Then what happens? Then we go after whatever assets we can. The house might need to be sold. Cars. Retirement accounts. Whatever it takes to make you whole. I thought about my childhood home being sold. All my memories packed up and distributed to pay off my father's debts. This is such a mess, I whispered. It is, Patricia agreed. But we'll get through it. You're not alone in this. After the lawyer, We went back to Grandpa's house. Mom decided to stay there too, unable to face the empty house where her marriage had died. We ordered pizza. Sat around the living room in silence. The TV was on but nobody was watching it. Around 8 p.m., my phone buzzed. It was a text from Melissa. I meant what I said. I'm going to pay you back. First payment attached. There was a Venmo notification. $500. She sent me money, I said, showing my phone to everyone. Don't accept it, Jessica said immediately. It's guilt money. She's just trying to make herself feel better. Or she's genuinely trying to make amends, Grandpa countered. $500 is significant. That's not nothing. I stared at the notification. $500. It was more money than I'd had at one time in months. It could pay for groceries. For gas. For the deposit on a new apartment that wasn't a basement. I don't know what to do, I admitted. Sleep on it, Mom suggested. You don't have to decide right now. But I did accept it. Because I needed it. Because regardless of where it came from or why she was sending it, that money was mine. She'd benefited from my stolen funds. It was only fair that she pay some of it back. I sent her a text, received. Thank you. Her response came immediately, there will be more. Every month. Until it's all paid back. I promise. I didn't respond to that. That night, lying in Grandpa's guest room again, I pulled out my phone and opened Instagram. Looked at Melissa's account again. She'd deleted all the photos. All of them. Her account was completely blank except for a new post from an hour ago. Sometimes you discover you've been living someone else's lie. Sometimes you're complicit in hurting people you never even knew existed. Sometimes the only thing you can do is apologize and try to make it right. I'm sorry to everyone I've hurt. I'm sorry for my role in this. I'm trying to be better. The comments were vicious. Somehow, people had figured out what happened. They were calling her names. Tearing her apart. I should have felt satisfied. Should have felt like she was getting what she deserved. But I just felt tired. I closed Instagram and tried to sleep. But sleep wouldn't come. My mind kept racing. Kept going over everything. Every lie. Every betrayal. Every moment I'd trusted my father and he'd let me down. Around 2 a.m., I got out of bed and went to the kitchen. Grandpa was there, sitting at the table in his bathrobe, drinking tea. Couldn't sleep either, he asked. I shook my head and sat down across from him. I keep thinking, I said slowly, about all the times I could have known. All the signs I missed. This isn't your fault. I know that. Intellectually, I know that. But it feels like I should have seen it. Like I was stupid or naive or, you trusted your father. That's not stupidity. That's love. That's what families are supposed to do. Trust each other. He broke that trust. Yes. He did. And he'll have to live with that for the rest of his life. We sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Grandpa said, your grandmother would be so proud of you. For what? Getting stolen from? For how you're handling this. You could have fallen apart. You could have lashed out. But you're staying strong. You're thinking clearly. You're fighting back the right way. I don't feel strong. That's because you're in the middle of it. But trust me, Emma. You're stronger than you know. I wanted to believe him. I really did. The next morning, Jessica and I went to Evolve Fitness. The gym where my dad had met Melissa. Where this whole nightmare had started. We walked in together, two sisters on a mission. The place was nice. Really nice. Floor-to-ceiling windows. State-of-the-art equipment. A juice bar in the corner. This was where my dad had been spending his time while I was scraping mold off my ceiling. "Can I help you?" A perky blonde at the front desk asked. "We're looking for the manager," I said. "Is there a problem?" "We need to speak to someone about one of your trainers." "Melissa Torrance." The woman's expression changed immediately. "Oh. Are you the family?" Word had spread. Of course it had. "Can we speak to your manager, please?" Jessica repeated. "Just a moment." She disappeared into a back office. A few minutes later, a tall man in his 40s came out. "I'm Derek Simmons, the general manager. I understand you wanted to speak about Melissa." "Yes." "Is she here?" "No. She called in sick today. Actually, she's taken a leave of absence. Given the circumstances." "What circumstances?" I asked. "What exactly do you know about the situation?" He looked uncomfortable. "Only what Melissa told me yesterday. That she was involved with a married man who was stealing from his family. That it had become public and she needed time to deal with the fallout." "Did you know about the affair?" Jessica asked. "While it was happening?" "I suspected something. I saw them together a few times. But it wasn't my business. My trainers are adults. What they do outside of work isn't my concern unless it affects their job performance." "And did it affect her job performance?" "No. Melissa was always professional. One of our best trainers, actually. Clients loved her." "I'm sure they did," I said bitterly. "Look, I'm sorry about what you're going through. I really am. But I don't know what you want from me." "I want to know if my father is still a member here." Derek checked his computer. "Yes. He has an active membership." "Cancel it." "I can't do that. Only the member can cancel their own membership." "Then I'll pay to cancel it. Whatever the fee is. I'll pay it. But I don't want him having any connection to this place. Any excuse to come here. Any reason to be in contact with her." Derek looked at Jessica, then back at me. "That's really not how it works." "Make it work," Jessica said. "Please. Our sister has been through hell. Our father stole from her to support his affair with your trainer. The least you can do is help us make sure he has no reason to come back here." Something in her voice must have gotten through to him. He sighed. "I'll see what I can do. But I'll need you to document the situation. Police reports, something official. I can't just cancel someone's membership without cause." "We'll get you the documentation," I promised. As we left, Jessica grabbed my hand. "You okay?" "No. But I will be." We spent the rest of the week gathering evidence. Police reports. Bank statements. Everything we could find. Patricia, our lawyer, helped us build the case. And then, on Friday, something unexpected happened. My dad requested a meeting. Through his lawyer. A formal sit-down to discuss settlement terms. "He's ready to negotiate," Patricia told me over the phone. "He's offering to sign over his half of the house to your mother. To pay back the money in monthly installments. To give up any claim to his retirement accounts." "He's giving up everything," I said. "Because he knows we have him dead to rights. The evidence is overwhelming. If this goes to court, he loses. He knows that. So what do I do? You meet with him. You hear what he has to say. And then you decide if you can live with the terms he's offering." The meeting was set for Monday. At Patricia's office. Neutral territory. I spent the weekend preparing. Writing down everything I wanted to say. Everything I needed him to hear. And on Monday morning, I walked into that conference room with my head held high. He was already there. sitting across the table with his own lawyer. He looked older than he had a week ago. Broken. Emma, he said when he saw me. I didn't respond. Just sat down next to Patricia and waited. His lawyer spoke first. My client wants to start by apologizing. No, I interrupted. I don't want his lawyer's version of an apology. If he has something to say to me, he can say it himself. My dad's lawyer looked at him. He nodded. Emma, my dad said, his voice shaking. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything. I know it doesn't make up for what I did. But I need you to know that I never meant to hurt you. I never meant for any of this to happen. But it did happen, I said coldly. You made choices. Every day for 2 years, you chose to lie to me. To steal from me. To let me struggle while you lived comfortably. I know. Do you? Do you really understand what you did to me? I ate ramen for dinner 4 nights a week because I couldn't afford anything else. I walked to work in the rain because I couldn't afford to put gas in my car. I cried myself to sleep worrying about money while you were buying champagne for your mistress. He flinched. I didn't buy her champagne with your money. It doesn't matter what account it came from. It all came from the same person. You. The person who was supposed to protect me. The person I trusted more than anyone in the world. I know. And I hate myself for it. Every day. Every minute. Good. You should. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Patricia spoke. My client is prepared to hear your settlement offer. My dad's lawyer slid a document across the table. Patricia and I read through it together. He was offering to pay back the full $68,200. $43,000 for the apartment money. $25,000 for Grandma's gift. Plus 10% interest. In monthly installments of $2,000 over 4 years. He was signing over his half of the house to Mom. He was giving up his retirement accounts to split between me and Jessica. He was admitting, in writing, to the theft and fraud. If you sign this, Patricia said, it means you're agreeing not to press criminal charges. He pays you back, you walk away. No jail time. No criminal record. I looked at my dad. At this man who had destroyed my trust and my sense of safety in the world. Why should I agree to this? I asked him. Why shouldn't I press charges? Make you face real consequences? Because I'm your father, he said simply. And because I'm asking you for mercy. Not because I deserve it. But because I'm begging you for it. You don't deserve mercy. I know. You deserve to go to jail. You deserve to lose everything. You deserve to suffer the way you made me suffer. I know. But I'm not going to do that. Not because I forgive you. Not because what you did is okay. But because I'm better than you. Because I choose mercy even when it's not deserved. I looked at Patricia. I'll sign it. With one addition. What's that? My dad's lawyer asked. He has to tell me why. The real why. Not some story about bad investments or stress or escape. The truth. Why would a father do this to his daughter? My dad was quiet for a long time. Then he said, because I was a coward. Because I couldn't face my own failures. Because it was easier to hurt you than to admit I'd failed. Because I'm weak and selfish and I put my own needs above my child's. That's the truth, Emma. I'm not the man I pretended to be. I'm not the father you deserved. And I have to live with that for the rest of my life. It wasn't enough. It would never be enough. But it was something. Add the clause, I told Patricia. I'll sign. We spent the next hour working through the details. The payment schedule. The terms. The consequences if he defaulted. And then it was done. Signed. Official. I was $68,000 richer on paper, even if it would take 4 years to see all of it. As I stood to leave, my dad said, "Emma, wait." I turned. I know I don't have the right to ask this. But is there any chance, someday, that we could rebuild? That you could forgive me? I looked at him for a long moment. I don't know, I said honestly. Maybe. Someday. But not today. Not for a long time. You broke something, Dad. Something fundamental. And I don't know if it can be fixed. I understand. But I hope you get help. I hope you figure out why you do these things. I hope you become the person you should have been all along. I'm trying, he said. I'm in therapy. I'm working on myself. I'm trying to be better. Good. Keep trying. For your sake, not mine. And then I left. Walked out of that office and into the bright afternoon sunlight. Jessica was waiting for me outside. She'd been sitting in the car, unable to face our dad yet. "How'd it go?" she asked. "It's done. He's paying me back. It's over." "Is it though? Really over?" "The legal part is. The rest." I shrugged. "That's going to take longer." We drove back to Grandpa's house. Mom was there, cooking dinner. Something smelled amazing. "How'd the meeting go?" she asked. "He signed everything. It's official." She stopped stirring whatever was on the stove and turned to look at me. "How do you feel?" "Numb," I admitted. "Just numb. That's normal. You've been through a trauma. Your brain is protecting itself." We ate dinner together. The 4 of us. A new version of our family. Smaller. Broken. But somehow stronger for it. After dinner, I checked my bank account. There was another deposit from Melissa. $500 again. And a text, first of many. I meant what I said. I didn't respond. But I didn't block her either. 3 months passed. I moved out of the basement. Grandpa helped me find a real apartment. 1 bedroom. Windows. No mold. He covered the deposit as an early Christmas present. I got a new job. Better pay. Better hours. Better everything. Mom's divorce was finalized. She got the house, just like the settlement promised. She started dating again. Nothing serious, just coffee here and there with nice men who didn't steal from their children. Jessica finished her semester strong. She'd been struggling with the family drama, but she pushed through. And my dad kept his word. The payments came every month. $2,000, like clockwork. Melissa kept her word too. $500 every month. She'd sent me a total of $1,500 so far. She also sent occasional texts. Updates on her life. How therapy was going. How she'd quit the gym and found a new job. How she thought about me every day. I never responded. But I read them. And then, one Tuesday in April, something happened that changed everything again. I came home from work to find a letter taped to my door. Handwritten. No return address. Inside, it said, "Emma, I know I have no right to contact you. I know you probably don't want to hear from me. But there's something you need to know. Something about your father that I only just found out myself. The money he stole from you. It wasn't all spent on me. I've been going through old bank statements, trying to piece together exactly where everything went. And I found something. There were large payments. $20,000 over 6 months. Going to a medical facility. I looked up the facility. It's a rehab center. Emma, your father has a gambling problem. He's had it for years, apparently. He was hiding it from everyone. The bad investments he talked about? Those were gambling debts. The financial crisis? That was from gambling. I'm not telling you this to make excuses for him. I'm telling you because I think you deserve to know the whole truth. I think he was too ashamed to tell you himself. The rehab payments stopped 8 months ago. I don't know if he completed the program or if he just ran out of money. But I thought you should know. I'm sorry for my part in all of this. I'm sorry for being naive and selfish and blind. I hope someday you can forgive me, though I understand if you can't. Take care of yourself. Melissa. I read the letter 3 times. Gambling. Suddenly everything made more sense. The lies. The desperation. The irrational decisions. Addiction didn't excuse it. But it explained it. I picked up my phone and called Grandpa. Did you know? I asked without preamble. Did you know Dad had a gambling problem? There was a long pause. I suspected. Years ago. But he denied it. And I wanted to believe him. He went to rehab. 8 months ago. Did you know that? No. He didn't tell me. He didn't tell anyone. Another pause. Are you okay? I don't know. I'm angry that there's more to the story. But I'm also. I don't know. Sad? That he was suffering and felt like he couldn't tell us? Addiction is a disease, Grandpa said carefully. It doesn't excuse what he did. But it does explain some of it. I need to talk to him. Are you sure that's a good idea? No. But I need to do it anyway. I called my dad's number. He answered on the first ring. Emma? I got a letter from Melissa. She told me about the gambling. Silence. Why didn't you tell us? I asked. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was ashamed. Because admitting I had a problem felt like admitting I was weak. And I thought if I could just fix it myself, if I could just get control of it, nobody would ever have to know. But you didn't get control of it. You let it destroy everything. I know. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Are you still gambling? No. I completed the rehab program. I go to meetings every week. I have a sponsor. I'm working the steps. I'm trying to stay clean. Why didn't you tell me this during the settlement meeting? Because I didn't want it to sound like an excuse. I didn't want you to think I was trying to make you feel sorry for me. I sat down on my couch, my head spinning. I don't know what to do with this information. You don't have to do anything with it. It's not your burden to carry. It's mine. But it affects me. It affects how I see you. How I understand what happened. Does it change anything? Does knowing make it better or worse? I thought about that. Both. It makes it worse because there's more pain. More complexity. But it also makes it better because it's not just that you're a terrible person. You're a sick person who made terrible choices. I'm both, he said quietly. I'm sick and I'm responsible for my actions. Those things can both be true. I need time to process this. Take all the time you need. I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere. We hung up. I sat on my couch for a long time, just thinking. And then I did something I never thought I'd do. I wrote a letter back to Melissa. Melissa, thank you for telling me about the gambling. I needed to know. I'm not ready to forgive you. I might never be ready. But I appreciate that you're trying to make things right. I appreciate the monthly payments. I appreciate your honesty. I hope you find peace. I hope we both do. Emma. I mailed it the next day. 6 months later. My dad had kept up with the payments. Every month. Never late. Never missing. Melissa too. I'd gotten a promotion at work. A real career now, not just a job. Jessica had graduated. She was moving across the country for grad school. Mom had started seeing someone seriously. A kind man named Tom who owned a bookstore and had never lied to her about anything. And me? I was healing. Slowly. Imperfectly. But healing nonetheless. I'd started therapy. Working through the betrayal. The trust issues. The anger and hurt that still lived in my chest like a weight. My therapist asked me once, "What do you need to truly move forward?" I thought about that for a long time. And then I knew. I needed to face him. Really face him. Not in a lawyer's office with legal documents and witnesses. But just the two of us. Father and daughter. Talking honestly about what happened and what comes next. So I called him. "Can we meet for coffee?" I asked. "Yes. Of course." "When?" "Tomorrow. 2 p.m. The cafe on Maple Street." "I'll be there." I almost didn't go. I sat in my car outside the cafe for 10 minutes, watching him through the window. He was already there, sitting at a corner table, nervously checking his phone. But I went in. Because I needed to do this. For me. He stood up when he saw me. "Emma. Thank you for coming." We sat down. Ordered coffee. Made awkward small talk about the weather. And then I said, "I need to understand something. How did it get so bad? How did you get from someone who loved his family to someone who was willing to steal from his own daughter?" He took a deep breath. "It started small. A few bets here and there. Sports games. Nothing serious. Just fun. But then I won a few times. Big wins. And it felt incredible. Like I'd finally found something I was good at. Something that made me feel alive." "When was this?" "About 7 years ago. Right after your grandmother died. I was grieving and lost, and the gambling made me feel better. Made me feel in control of something. And then you lost. And then I lost. A lot. Tens of thousands. I tried to win it back. That's what addicts do. We chase the loss. We think if we just hit one more big win, everything will be fine. But it never is. Why didn't you tell Mom? Tell Grandpa? Get help? Because I was ashamed. Because I thought I could fix it myself. Because admitting I had a problem felt like failing as a man, as a father, as a husband. So instead you stole from your daughter." He flinched. "Yes. And that's unforgivable. I know that. But I was so deep in the addiction that I couldn't think clearly. I just kept telling myself it was temporary. That I'd pay you back. That nobody would ever have to know. And Melissa? That was separate, but connected. I was drowning in shame and lies. She represented escape. A part of my life where I wasn't a failure. Where I could pretend to be the man I wanted to be instead of the man I actually was. We sat in silence for a moment. "Are you really in recovery?" I asked. "Yes. I go to Gamblers Anonymous meetings 3 times a week. I've turned over all my finances to an accountability partner. I don't have access to credit cards or large amounts of cash. I'm working the steps. Trying to make amends. Is it working? Most days. Some days I still want to bet. Still feel that pull. But I'm learning to sit with those feelings instead of acting on them." "Good." More silence. "Emma," he said softly. "I know I've said this before, but I need to say it again. I'm sorry. I'm so deeply, profoundly sorry for what I did to you. You deserved a father who protected you, who supported you, who put your needs above his own. And I failed you in every possible way. I felt tears starting. I blinked them back. I'm not ready to have you back in my life, I said. Not fully. Not yet. But I think maybe someday I could be. Hope flickered across his face. Really? Maybe. If you keep getting help. If you keep being honest. If you prove over time that you've really changed. I will. I promise you, I will. Don't promise. Just do it. Show me through actions, not words. Okay. Okay, I can do that. We finished our coffee. Talked a little bit more about lighter things. My new apartment. His job. Jessica's upcoming move. And when we said goodbye, he asked, "Can we do this again? Coffee next month?" I hesitated. Then nodded. Yes. We can do this again. As I drove home, I felt something I hadn't felt in 8 months. Hope. Not that everything would magically be okay. Not that the betrayal would disappear or the trust would instantly be rebuilt. But hope that maybe, eventually, we could find our way to some new version of a father-daughter relationship. One built on honesty and accountability and hard-won forgiveness. 1 year later. I was sitting in my apartment, the nice one with windows and no mold, when my phone rang. It was my dad. We talked every week now. Not about anything deep or meaningful, usually. Just check-ins. How are you doing? How's work? Did you see that game last night? Slowly, carefully, we were rebuilding something. Not the relationship we'd had before. That was gone forever. But something new. Something more honest, even if it was more fragile. "Hey, Emma," he said when I answered. "I wanted to let you know. I just made the last payment." My heart skipped. The last payment? The $68,200. Plus interest. It's all paid back. I'm sending it to your account now. I pulled up my banking app. Sure enough, there it was. $2,000. The final payment. Over 12 months, he'd paid back every penny. Earlier than the 4-year timeline we'd agreed on. How? I asked. How did you manage to pay it back so fast? I got a second job. Worked nights at a warehouse. Sold my car and bought a cheaper one. Cut every expense I could. It became my sole focus. Making things right with you. I didn't know what to say. And Emma? Melissa wanted me to tell you, she paid back her portion too. The $15,000 she calculated she'd benefited from. She sent it to your account last week. I checked. He was right. There had been a large deposit last week that I'd assumed was from my salary bonus. I don't know what to say, I whispered. You don't have to say anything. This was never about earning your forgiveness. This was about doing what was right. What I should have done from the beginning. Thank you. No. Thank you. For giving me the chance to make it right. For not giving up on me completely. After we hung up, I sat there staring at my bank account. $68,200. Plus the $15,000 from Melissa. $83,000. More money than I'd ever had in my life. I could pay off my student loans. I could buy a car. I could save for a house. But more than the money, I had something else. I had closure. I had proof that people could change. That redemption was possible, even after the worst betrayals. I called Grandpa. He did it, I told him. He paid it all back. I know, Grandpa said. He called me too. He's very proud of himself. And he should be. Are you still angry at him? Every day. But I'm also proud of him. Those things can coexist. Have you forgiven him? I'm working on it. Just like you are. Forgiveness isn't an event, Emma. It's a process. Some days I'm further along than others. That makes sense. How are you doing with all of this? Really? I thought about it. I'm okay. Better than okay, actually. I'm not healed completely. I still have trust issues. I still have angry days. But I'm not broken anymore. I'm not that girl living in the basement, wondering why her father didn't love her enough to help. He always loved you. He just loved his addiction more. For a while. I know that now. We talked for a while longer. Made plans for Sunday dinner. The four of us, Grandpa, Mom, Jessica who was visiting from grad school, and me. We were still a family. Different than before. Scarred and imperfect. But still a family. 2 years after that birthday brunch that changed everything. I was getting ready for a date when my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened the door to find Melissa standing there. We hadn't seen each other in person since this all began. Just the monthly payments and occasional texts. She looked different. Her hair was shorter. She seemed older, more tired. But also more at peace. I'm sorry for showing up unannounced, she said. I needed to do this in person. Do what? Apologize. Really apologize. Not over text or through lawyers or through your father. But face to face. Woman to woman. I stood there, not sure what to say. Can I come in? She asked. Just for a few minutes. And then I'll leave. I promise. I stepped aside and let her in. We sat in my living room. She looked around at my apartment. This is nice. Really nice. You deserve a nice place. Thank you. Emma, I need you to know that what I did. I'll regret it for the rest of my life. Not just the affair, but my willful ignorance. I chose not to ask questions. I chose to believe your father's lies because it was easier than facing the truth. And you suffered because of my choices. You weren't the one who stole from me. No. But I benefited from that theft. I lived in an apartment paid for with your money. I ate at restaurants paid for with your money. I accepted gifts bought with your money. And I never once stopped to ask where it was all coming from. Why are you telling me this now? Because I've been in therapy for 2 years. Working through my own issues. Why I chose unavailable men. Why I settled for being someone's secret. Why I didn't value myself enough to demand better. And part of my healing is making direct amends. Not just sending money, but actually facing the people I've hurt and owning my part in it. I appreciate that. Do you forgive me? She asked. I know I have no right to ask. But I need to know. I thought about it. Really thought about it. I don't know, I said honestly. I'm not as angry as I used to be. But forgiveness, that's complicated. I understand. But I respect what you're doing. The therapy. The amends. The honesty. That matters. She nodded. Wiped her eyes. That's more than I deserve. Can I ask you something? I said. Anything. Why did you keep paying? After you found out the truth, you could have just walked away. But you kept sending money every month. Why? Because it was the only thing I could do to make it right. Because I needed to prove, at least to myself, that I wasn't just a terrible person. That I could do better. Be better. And are you? Better? She smiled sadly. Some days. I'm trying. I'm single now. Focusing on myself. On therapy and healing and figuring out who I am outside of relationships with men who don't respect me. Good for you. We talked for a little while longer. About her new job teaching yoga. About her family. About life after scandal. And when she left, I felt something shift inside me. Not quite forgiveness. But maybe the beginning of it. 3 years after the birthday brunch. I was at Sunday dinner at Grandpa's. The whole family was there. Mom and Tom, who were engaged now. Jessica and her girlfriend Kate. Grandpa. Me. And my dad. It had taken 3 years, but he was back. Not fully. Not the way things were before. But present. Part of our family again. He'd earned it. Through consistency. Through honesty. Through 3 years of showing up, doing the work, making the payments, attending his meetings, being accountable. We were in the middle of dessert when Grandpa stood up and clinked his glass. I want to make a toast, he said. 3 years ago, our family went through something terrible. Something that could have destroyed us. But we survived. We're here. We're together. And we're stronger for it. Here, here, Mom said, raising her glass. Emma, Grandpa continued, looking at me. You showed us all what grace looks like. What strength looks like. You could have let this break you. But instead, you let it forge you into something stronger. I'm proud of you. So proud. I felt tears starting. Happy tears this time. Richard, Grandpa said, turning to my dad. You fell. Hard. But you got back up. You did the work. You made the amends. You proved that people can change. And while I'll never forget what you did, I've learned to forgive it. Welcome back, son. My dad was crying openly now. Thank you. All of you. For not giving up on me. For giving me the chance to make things right. I don't deserve this family, but I'm grateful for it every single day. We all raised our glasses. Toasted to survival. To healing. To second chances. Later, as people were getting ready to leave, my dad pulled me aside. Emma, I have something for you. He handed me an envelope. Inside was a check. For $25,000. What is this? I asked. Your grandmother wanted you to have her college fund. I stole that from you. And while I paid back the money itself, I can never give you back the years you could have used it. The opportunities you missed because you didn't have it. This is interest. This is my way of saying that I understand what I took from you went beyond just money. Dad, I can't accept this. Please. I need you to. I've been saving for 2 years. Extra shifts. Selling things. Saving every penny I could. Please let me do this. I looked at the check. $25,000. Okay, I said. Okay, I'll take it. He hugged me. A real hug. Not the stiff, uncomfortable hugs we'd shared for the past few years. But a real, warm, father-daughter hug. I love you, Emma, he said. I know I didn't show it very well for a while there. But I love you so much. I love you too, Dad. And I meant it. 5 years after the birthday brunch. I was sitting at my own birthday brunch. 30 years old today. My own apartment, now actually mine because I'd saved enough to buy it. My own life, built on my own terms. Around the table sat everyone I loved. Grandpa, older now but still sharp. Mom and Tom, married and happy. Jessica and Kate, who'd just gotten engaged. My boyfriend Marcus, who I'd been dating for a year and who knew the whole story and loved me anyway. And my dad. Sober from gambling for 5 years now. Remarried to a kind woman named Linda who worked as an accountant and kept him accountable. Different. Changed. But present. A toast, I said, standing up. 5 years ago, on my 24th birthday, my life exploded. Everything I thought I knew turned out to be a lie. And it was the worst day of my life. Everyone was quiet, watching me. But it was also, in a strange way, the best thing that could have happened. Because it taught me that I'm stronger than I ever knew. It taught me that love isn't just about trust, it's about rebuilding that trust when it's broken. It taught me that people can change. And it taught me that family isn't just about blood. It's about showing up. Being honest. Doing the work. I raised my glass. So here's to 5 years. To survival. To growth. To forgiveness. And to the family we've become. Here, everyone chorused. As we ate and laughed and celebrated, I caught my dad's eye across the table. He smiled at me. A genuine, proud, loving smile. And I smiled back. Because this was what healing looked like. Not perfect. Not without scars. But real. Honest. True. 5 years ago, I'd discovered that my apartment was a lie. But I'd also discovered the truth about who I was. About what I was capable of surviving. About the strength I never knew I had. And that truth was worth more than any apartment. Any money. Anything. I was Emma Collins. And I was exactly where I was supposed to be.